coming up.
JD and Jack, they probably have the keenest eye for cattle I've ever seen. And they can see things that most people can't.
One is just like the other almost. They're absolutely picture perfect.
See why Holden Line 1 genetics are in demand worldwide, next on The American Rancher. Hello and welcome to The American Rancher. I'm Pam Minnick. Today we're headed to the Big Sky Country in Valier, Montana. There, the Holden family has produced top-rated Line 1 Hereford genetics for over half a century. They're one of the first producers to performance test their cattle. And with a solid track record of innovation and a commitment to quality cattle, the Holden family gained a solid reputation with customers around the globe.
My grandparents, Les and Ethel Holden, bought the ranch we're on and moved in Christmas 1954 with my dad and my uncle. Were both in high school at that point. Had just a few registered cows. They'd sold all their commercial females to come up with the down payment for the ranch, and they purchased 1,100 acres to begin with. Wasn't much to the place at all. An old house, kind of an old barn with a straw roof, chicken house. I'm the third generation on this ranch. Really blessed to have a family operation and now have the fourth and fifth generation coming, with fourth generation with my son Brad and our son-in-law Eric Laver and our daughter Brooke. She's involved. She works in town at a title company, but also helps during calving and sale time and other times. And now we have a grandson Brayton that's 16 months old, and to see the next generation coming on and taking the interest and having the passion for this ranch and this breed of cattle and wanting to continue to improve and move forward, really important. My grandparents had already been using some of the Line 1 bulls from the Miles City Station from Fort Keogh. Those cattle were based on advanced domino breeding. They had taken for 2 years with the neighbor down in Townsend and traded 1.5 of their commercial heifers for one of his registered heifers. And so they brought those heifers up here with one of the Line 1 bulls and got started here. Shortly after, my grandfather got involved in performance testing with the Montana Beef Performance Association. Both Jack Cooper and my grandfather Les Holden were real pioneers since the Hereford breed. Really stuck to their beliefs of what they were doing. In the 60s, the trend was for the belt buckle Hereford cattle, short-bodied and much shorter frame cattle. My grandpa was really believed in cattle that had to have length and performance and growth in them, and really bucked the trend in through the 60s with the cattle he was producing. He wanted Hereford cattle that milk, that weighed on the scale, that produced, could get it done. And then in the late 60s, the dwarfism genetic defect hit the Hereford breed, and it was tied into a lot of those belt buckle type. That really got people in the breeders out paying attention to, looking at what they were doing. And so they really started coming to the Line 1 cattle to begin with because they were the bigger frame cattle, had more performance, more milk in them, and they kept coming after they figured out that they were really good cattle to go along with it. 69 was one of the real turning points for our operation. A real well-known Hereford breeder from Colorado named Max Falsher came and bought the high-selling bull, yearling bull, from my grandpa Les, paid $5,000 for that bull, which of course was a lot of money back in 1969, and that kind of got some notoriety out. And then of course during the 70s, the Hereford breeders really started to come buy cattle at the Cooper Holden sale. The Line 1 genetics got spread out through the U.S. Really well. I came home in 1987 to manage the corporation, take over from my grandparents. They were still here and still involved some. We were at about 110 cows then, selling 45 to 50 bulls a year. Now we're up to 400 cows, selling around 150 bulls a year, bringing fall breeding season. Mid-90s, we started using embryo transfer to get more progeny out of our really good cows and kind of grow the herd more that way. Started building up the commercial herd to be our recipient herd for embryo transfer. And since then we've acquired a lot more land. Now we run on about 5,000 acres of deeded and leased ground. We'll put up 3,000 to 4,000 tons of hay a year. We irrigate about 800 acres. Just still really believe in performance testing. We take all the birth weights, we do all the udder scores, do all those things that we want as much info for our customers as we can put out there. Then we've got real strong in the genomic testing since about 2012 when the Hereford Association came out with that, or 2010 to 2012. We went back and tested a lot of our donors and herd sires, so they had genomics on them. Since fall of 2012 calf crop, every animal on the place that makes it through the cut at weaning has been genomic tested. We've been parentage verifying our cattle for close to 40 years. My grandpa used to do that with blood typing back in the 80s. Then we went on to DNA with microsatellite profiles. Now, of course, it's the SNP profiles. We want to know the parentage on our cattle, what's going on, and give as much info to our customers as we can. These are our TSU kits. We pre-order these pre-numbered to match the tag and tattoo that's going to go on the calves. When we tattoo the calves and tag them at 12 to 24 hours of age, at the same time we punch an ear sample out of them. You can see in there's the DNA samples, so we have the DNA samples for parentage verification and genomics on everything.
Up next.
JD and Jack, they probably have the keenest eye for cattle I've ever seen. And they can see things that most people can't.
Details of why you should consider Holden Hereford genetics for your crossbreeding program. That's after the break here on The American Rancher. Welcome back to The American Rancher. Herefords were once king of the range before other British breeds gained popularity. Today, Hereford cattle prove their worth by offering traits like versatility, fertility, and growth in crossbreeding programs worldwide.
Herefords just bring so many things to the table. When you talk about cattle that can get it done on grass, they're functional, they're tough when it's cold, they can handle the heat. They can go anywhere and get it done. I mean, they're fertile, and they're such a tool for crossbreeding. America's cow herd is Angus-based, and Angus are great cattle. And when you put Hereford bulls on those black cows that are out there, and the heterosis and that you get out of those black baldies, the extra pounds at weaning, the extra profitability in the feedlot, and the efficiency you get from that cross. And then, there is no better range cow for most of the U.S. than the black baldy female. I mean, she is so fertile and functional. I mean, the research has shown there's a 7% higher fertility rate in the black baldies over their straight bred counterparts. There's research shown that, the black baldies will eat less feed than their straight bred counterparts in the summer, and yet come in a better body condition score on the female side. You get to the South Country down in Texas, and and we have a lot of customers now looking for sex semen that, the tiger stripe female down there is in such high demand, and, called the queen of the range down in South Texas, and, in those hotter, humid areas where they need, cattle with a little Brahman influence, and, they cross the Hereford and get those tiger stripe females, and they are fantastic females. So the Hereford just brings so many things to the table, and I mean, and I think Holden Herefords with our Herefords brings even more. Our breeding philosophy is all about producing cattle that excel across the board.
JD and Jack, they probably have the keenest eye for cattle I've ever seen. And they can see things that most people can't. So, Jack has selected for every important trait for so many years that now these cattle, they have it. They have what you're looking for, and just constantly uniform and consistent across the board. So crossbreeding the Line 1 Hereford specifically, you can get heterosis because this program is line bred. So you could breed them to pretty much any other breed of cow, and you would get heterosis out of it. You could probably even get heterosis out of out of crossing a line 1 bull on some form of polled Hereford line.
The bull calves are currently in development. They're just raised on grass and their mama up until weaning. After weaning, then they'll be put in a feedlot and started on a feed ration.
These bulls, they'll be yearlings August, September. They're just young calves when that northern Montana winter hits for the first time. So by the time they get to the bull sale, they've gone through 2. So you pretty well have an idea. These are going to be the toughest of the tough cattle when it's, they get 2 shots of 40 below weather and then get up to 100 degrees in the summer pretty easy, and they just would never have any trouble with them. So that's one of the beauty of these cattle, that you can pretty well send them anywhere in the world and they'll perform and do what they're supposed to do. They're bulletproof by the time we hit bull sale time. We have bulls down in Alabama, South Texas, just about anywhere you can think of, and up over, we're at about 4,200 feet above sea level here, so they function really well at low altitude and at high altitude. You don't have any problems with them. And I've been with them twice a day, every day for the whole year. You can pretty well touch most of them, and they don't run away from anybody. They're just extremely gentle. That disposition of the Herefords is second to none. Just real calm demeanor. I'd never been around Herefords till about 6 years ago when I decided to take a job up here, and just fell in love with these things. They make you not really want to be around any of the others. They're just so easy to be around, so calm. You can just walk out in the pen with them, darn near half of them, and just let you scratch on them. You don't have to worry about them trying to test your fences and get out, or running away from you, or any of the nonsense you might have to deal with some of the other breeds of cattle around. They're just calm and easy keepers. Holden line 1 bulls, I mean, if you want to immediately improve your cow herd, they're just bred for maternal traits. So when you buy a bull, any bull will make good mama cows around here. And then you can throw in terminal traits on top of that to increase your pounds. Plus they're bred so long that you can have heavier calves at birth without the calving difficulties.
Both of these bulls are a couple of our younger herd bulls. Both of them have mothers that we think really highly of. Both of their sisters have been donors in our herd. On top of that, their sires, each one has a different sire, but they've been a year apart. They were the high sellers in our sale too. We really pride ourselves on our cow herd. A bull really can only be as good as its mother. The line breeding allows us to breed for better consistency, and also we've been selecting these cattle for performance and carcass for 65 plus years now.
You drive out through our herd, you see the uniformity and the type and kind and the functionality in those cattle. Very few lines can be line bred as long as these cattle are without them. Line breeding is controlled inbreeding, and you really have to select cattle with above average traits and really be looking forward all the time as you're making mating decisions, so that you don't get too inbred, and yet you get all that consistency and uniformity built into the pedigrees, and the extra pop and hybrid vigor that comes out of these cattle with all the years of line breeding behind them.
We don't get very much rain around here. We maybe get 13 inches of moisture a year, 14 maybe. We're pretty fortunate that these cattle are so easy flesh, and they hold their condition even in the driest of years. Grass maybe doesn't have to be the greatest of quality, doesn't have to be the highest of protein, and they'll still look like $1 million.
We'll send 4 semen on 4 different bulls to Australia this year to big herds, registered herds. They went through a massive drought a few years ago, and the feedback that we got from those guys over there was just tremendous. They really bragged on the line 1 genetics and the Holden genetics, and the comments were, thank goodness for the Holden genetics, because when we brought the cows, we had to return these cows out with really no grass, kind of up in the hills, and he said the Holden genetic cows that had Holden genetics in them, when they came out of the hills, they had big calves outside, they were all bred, and a lot of our other genetics didn't do that.
After the break,
One is just like the other almost. They're absolutely picture perfect.
Longtime Holden Hereford customers tell it like it is. That's after the break here on The American Rancher. Stay with us. Welcome back to The American Rancher. Family-owned Holden Herefords in Valier, Montana is one of the top Line 1 breeders in the industry. Their success is centered on producing genetics that deliver pounds, predictability, and efficiency for their customers. Every March, customers from around the U.S. and countries as far away as Australia attend the Holden's annual production sale.
Our first time we came to sale was in 1971, and we've been coming ever since. We are in the purebred business, and we produce bulls for the commercial people, and we find that the Holden cattle are so predictable, and they have really worked extremely well for us.
We pretty much have all home-raised cattle. Every female on the place is home-raised, so we're pretty dependent on our own herd to produce replacements. And since we've been using the Holden bulls, it's really helped our cow herd. The stronger the cow herd, the better set of 2-year-old bulls we're able to sell. The commercial guys, they like the good pigment on these bulls. They like them to be marked well, and that's a plus in our part of the country. And the udder quality's so good on these cattle, and they've got such a strong set of cows that we're able to improve our herd through those genetics, through the bulls.
We started coming down here actually when the sales were in Great Falls, so that was in the 1970s, I think. I've always thought it was the best maternal cow herd I'd ever seen, and so we've tried to stay fairly close to that through the years.
Our consistency that Holden bulls have has really been a big factor in our success in our cattle in the last 12, 14 years.
The reason I've been using his bulls is because of the quality of the cow's udder. If you're raising a commercial herd or you're raising a registered herd, you need to come up to Jack Holden's and look at the cattle.
When you buy it from Jack, you really do get an entire package. Jack's desire and ability to work with you before and after the sale. We've never had any problems with Jack's bulls, and anything we did have was addressed immediately. You can't ask for a nicer guy. He follows up after the sale well. Any questions or problems you may have, he's more than happy to work with you on. He's came back and stopped in and looked at our program on numerous occasions. You just don't find that kind of service after the sale all that often anymore.
The family is top-notch. It's one of the best-run outfits in the United States, evidenced by the fact that their bulls go all over the country.
We like the fact that you can walk through his bulls. I mean, you can walk up to them. They have a fantastic personality, and that personality is transferred onto the ground and into the calves. They're easy calvers, and when you cross the Hereford and the good qualities they have with the Angus, you get the black baldy, which is very desirable today. Now, you walk in to look at Jack's bulls and you think, why did I even have to come ahead of time and look at them? Because they're so uniform.
One is just like the other almost. They're absolutely picture perfect.
Holden Herefords have definitely made a difference in our herd. We just wouldn't have the quality or reputation without having his bulls involved.
After the bull sale gets over, I'll be on the road 10 to 15,000 miles over that next 6 weeks. And I enjoy that time of year. April's one of my favorite months of the year anyway. And, you know, kind of get out on the road. We got the bull sale done and, you know, kind of spend April traveling around, you know, get a chance to see a few customers, drop some bulls in their yard, hear reports on how the calves are done and how things are looking, and, you know, what they think of the bulls they've had before, or get to visit more with new customers.
Yeah, and with marketing to customers, in a way the bulls should be good enough that they can sell themselves, but a lot of it is really customer service, which we really pride ourselves on.
and getting out, seeing people's places, delivering the bulls.
I think, you know, the future for Holden Herefords is bright. You can just expect to see a lot of quality cattle. We just continue to work harder to keep improving these cattle every year. We're going to continue to expand a little bit. We've got the next generation here, so sell a few more bulls and just continue to do things right. Produce cattle that are going to work for the beef industry, for our customers, and for our own operation. For the people who have never been to a Holden sale, I think you will really enjoy what you will see here. Here's an opportunity to reach into some of the best Hereford genetics in the world, here backed by one of the best cow herds in the world. Superior Livestock's been a great tool for us. You know, the videos, the ability for people to, you know, preview those cattle beforehand, see online what's going to be selling. You know, 20 to 25% of our sale offering sells to people on Superior every year, and it's been a great tool for us and for our customers.
Join the Holden family in Valier on March 13th for their 57th annual production sale. For more information and to download the catalog, click holdenherefords.com. Go to Superior Livestock to view the offering and to register for a buyer's number. That's all the time we have today. We hope you enjoyed the show. To find out more about us, visit our website, theamericanrancher.com, or connect with us on Facebook. I'm Pam Minnick for our entire American Rancher team. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
With Superior's nationally recognized VAC protocols and third-party value-added programs, buyers have confidence to pay premiums for quality load-lock cattle you sell on Superior. Call or go online to find out more.